I think it might be live. But I'm more questioning this than usual because I had to refresh the page. It wouldn't come up and let me live stream, and then it can't. I don't know what's going on with YouTube right now, but I have no idea if this is really there. Let's see. Oh, something's happening. Let's see if we've got audio. 1 second. Yep. Oh, that. I don't know if audio is just terrible or if audio on this computer is terrible. It's probably the computer. Okay, let's go ahead and mute that. And okay, so for this one, I'm just going to be working today on this section of her hair. Well, we'll see how far we get into it, but I really am just gonna kind of try to start to finish that section there. Let's see. I am not recording tonight. Thank you, Joseph. And just before we get started, make sure to check out our moderators channels. Links are in the video description. Nick and Joseph both have really cool art channels. You should subscribe to them. I can't talk. Hopefully they can. Okay, so I guess I can get started. Let's see, what pencils do I need? Okay, so this section of her hair, if you've seen the reference photo, this is one of the darkest sections in the entire portrait is going to be this hair right in here on the underside. I don't want to just jump into my darkest pencil, though. If I do that, I'm going to end up with a very grainy, gritty look. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to start with a 2H, if I can find it. Oh, I really wish that Faber-Castell had these color-coded. There's the 4H. The only thing I like better about the Caran d'Ache graphite pencils, I mean, graphite's graphite. They're all fairly similar. My top two favorites are the Faber-Castell and the Derwent graphics. The new Derwent graphics, not the old ones. The old ones used to get those little hard nuggets in there. The new ones, I haven't had that problem. But no pencil except for Caran d'Ache are color coded for like which value the pencil is, and I really wish these that everyone would do that because now I'm sitting here trying to find where that pencil is, and I never put things in the right place apparently. So there we go. I found the 2H. Okay, I'm going to sharpen this before I get started. Now I also want to make sure that this pencil is sharp. Oh, I just broke that. I think this pencil sharpener is getting dull. But I want to make sure that my pencils are sharp so that it gets into all the little nooks and crannies of the paper. And that is going to help me to keep, move this over, that's going to help me to keep everything very smooth and avoid that grainy grittiness that I am not a huge fan of. I'm going to pull this up. There we go. Why does it say 51 people waiting? See, yeah, something weird. Hold on, let me refresh this. Something weird is going on with YouTube right now. Okay, there we go. That seems, hopefully that updates the chat. And if you guys have a question, make sure to do the @Lachri Fine Art so that it has the highlight. If it doesn't highlight the orange, I don't see it. So it's not that I'm intentionally ignoring anyone. I just wouldn't see. Let's see. Now, right now, a lot of this is going to end up having a sketchy look. But one of the things I want to show you first that you do not want to do when you're drawing hair, just fold this in half. Just as a quick, don't do this. This is not how you want to draw hair. Hair isn't just a bunch of random strands all over the place. This is how you draw hair that has not been washed in way too long, or like zombie hair is what I call it. It's not cute. We don't want that look. That's not how you're going to achieve hair. And a lot of people think that that is, you know, just it's more detail. Each pencil stroke, it's hair. I mean, again, if you want it to look like zombie hair, which we don't. So what we want to do instead is pay attention to where our lights and darks are, those clumps and clusters. So let darken here. There we go. And now I'm blind because I looked at a really bright light as I turned it on. I'm a genius. So what I'm going to do is start blocking in where those light and dark, I already can't talk and we just started. Light and dark clusters are going to go. And this, like I said, it's going to be as dark as I can get it. And I'm going to let some of this just fade out into her dress, because I think I've got my hair clumps a little too thick in a few of these areas. Maya said, I'm looking for a new H-frame easel. Do you have any suggestions on something sturdy? I was at Hughes. I don't know what that is, but wow, expensive. I mean, any standard H-frame easel should be heavyweight enough that it's not going to move on you, like a floor model. I don't have any brand recommendations, but any of them should work fine. The one that I had that I used for years was what? think I want to say, well, I got it on clearance, and I think I spent like $50 or $60 on it. Now, of course, that was back in like 2000, so it was really old. But it wasn't a name of anything. It was just something generic I got at Michael's, and it worked great. So, and it was heavyweight. It wasn't moving around. So any H frame should be heavy enough for you that the brand is not a big deal. But I can't give you a suggestion. I mean, usually most of them I'd say under, like anywhere between 100 to 200 is pretty average. My favorite paper to use for what? Because it depends on what what it's for. So I can't answer that till I know for what medium. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Ursies. Sticky Art Channel, I like your name, said, any advice on how to grow my live stream viewership? Be consistent. That's one thing. Like if viewers know, okay, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. you're live streaming, that's going to help. Advertise on your social media page. You know, if you've got Facebook or Instagram, let people know there. It's like anything else, but consistency is really a big deal so that people know that you're live. That's probably the biggest tip I can give you. But it's growing your live stream viewership is no different than growing your channel in general. Consistency, try to put out quality, things that people would be interested in. Those would be my tips. It's just like anything else, I think. But the consistency is a big one. Let's see. Michelle said, hi, could you tell me what kind of paper you are using? I am using Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 140-pound watercolor paper, and I should have links to most, if not all, of everything that I'm using in the video descriptions with some links. So, except for the paper. I don't have a link for that. But that one is the Fabriano. And it's a smooth paper, but it's not like, I don't like working on, I used to think that if I could get as smooth as possible, that's how I would avoid that grainy, gritty look. No, it was still semi-grainy and gritty, but I couldn't get my values dark enough because there wasn't enough tooth on the paper. So what I do now, the hot press watercolor paper in general for graphite is my favorite. And that can be Arches, it can be Fabriano, it can be any of those. Pamela says, have you tried the Artist Loft Level 3 acrylic paints? I really like the consistency, and they're supposed to be on par with basics, but I'm not sure they're archival. See, and that's no, I've not tried them because I don't use generic, like art supplies. Generic, like generic tracing paper, sure. Generic pencil sharpeners, or I'm trying to think what, generic paintbrushes, that's all fine. But when it comes to the actual paint, the actual pencils, the actual whatever, pencils is probably not as big of a deal. With colored pencils, it would be. I'm not willing to find out later on that it wasn't archival. That's a bit question, that definitely concerns me. And so I'm not going to give it a chance. I know that with Michael's, Artist Loft, I believe is Michael's Hobby Lobby, they're in it not to make quality art supplies. They're in it to make a profit. Now, every business is in it to make a profit. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying from what I've talked to, the few people I've talked to when it came to like Michael's and Hobby Lobby, it wasn't about let's make the best art supply, of good quality. They're going more budget, which is fine, but I don't trust it and I'm not going to use it. Let's see. Luty Art said, I heard sharpening your pencils with a razor with some of the core showing makes shading easier. Is that true? Some people like that method. It wouldn't be easier for me because when I get blood all over my work, because I'm not allowed to play with sharp things, that wouldn't be good. Or when I cut my finger off, it's really going to make it hard for me to draw. So it's not a fit for me. But I know some amazing artists who swear by using razor blades to sharpen their pencils. It's just not my thing. I like my fingers. Honest Carl said, I always find that my pencil look grainy and harsh when I blend graphite. Any tips? So one, start like here, this is going to be as black, as dark as I can get it. So what I'm doing, I'm starting with a light pencil, a 2H. Even though I need it to be an 8B, I'm starting with 2H and I am not pushing hard with that pencil. I'm filling in, I'm letting the 2H get into all those little nooks and crannies. So now the contrast, what happens with the softer leads, the darker leads? They are very, very soft and they have a tendency just to hit the top of the tooth of the paper. They don't get into the nooks and crannies as well. They don't sharpen quite as fine of a point. It's a softer lead. So if I start with those dark ones, more of that white is going to show through. So here, well, yeah, the underlaying paper, those little nooks and crannies are going to show through. I've already filled it with a 2H. I filled it with something so that contrast between this and the white of the paper is much, this is going to, the 2H is going to cover a lot more, it's not going to be as obvious that I've got that grain. So that's one huge thing. Don't push hard with your pencils because, and that's another thing, a lot of people will want to jump to pushing hard to jam that pencil into the tooth. And it'll behave a bit different depending on what paper you're using. But that is another way that will often create and make it to where it's almost impossible to get rid of some of that graininess. So those would be some of my tips there. But start with your lighter pencils. Like what I'm doing here, this pencil's nice and sharp. And I'm working little ovals, just getting that into all those little nooks and crannies as much as possible. Now, I don't care if it's a little bit grainy, gritty. I care when I've done some things where I take a photo and you look at it and you're like, whoa, that does not look like what I thought it looked like in different lighting. But so a little bit's okay to me. Everyone's going to view that differently, but I do want to avoid the majority of it as much as I can. That's actually her dress. So that would be my suggestion. Don't just jump into the darkest pencils. And it's funny because this to me looks grainier on the video than it does in person because I've blown it up and so it's kind of pixelating it, but you guys get the idea. Let's see. There we go. The other thing for helping with the grainy grittiness, I have a tendency when I blend, I will start with like the 2H, the 4H, a lighter pencil. I work my way up to the darkest values, and then I will blend a 2H or a 4H on top and let the pencil do a lot of the blending. That gives me really good results sometimes, really clean results. Delana said, for canvas paintings, where and how do you attach the painting title and medium info? I don't attach it anywhere. It doesn't need to be on the painting. I don't attach it to the painting at all. I'm not sure what you mean by attaching a painting title. That's not something that I would ever do. Unless, I guess you could write it on like a business card, just staple it to the back of the canvas board, but you wouldn't want it on the canvas, like the canvas itself. I don't put that info on the artwork. Well, kind of side story. This is kind of crazy. Somebody contacted me. They sent me an email asking if a painting was mine. It was a painting from 2002 when I had pretty much first was really just getting into oil painting. Oh my gosh, it was some orcas. And I look back at it. It was so cool to see where I started with that. It definitely, there's been some improvements since then. But it was cool. They found it in, I think he said, a thrift store, a secondhand store, and looked up the artist. I was like, that is really cool. Just based on the signature, he was able to find me. Like, how fun. That was really fun to see something that old. Let's see. Random story. That has nothing to do with anything. Chandra says, Chandra, you and I have the same, well, that was my maiden name, spelled the same way too. How would I go about drawing hair that has fine wisps overlapping skin when the hair is lighter than the skin? I would first try to leave the skin showing as much as possible. Leave it and just work the skin in towards the hair so you're continuously thinning that out. The other way that you can go is with the Tombow Mono Eraser. That guy is amazing. If you've not blended your skin super dark, this will pull out details. But, it may not be fine enough for you. If this comes out too thick, then I would just go back through and thin that out with your pencils. Just rework it to thin out those wisps. There are probably a million different ways that you can attack that problem. Those would be my first two things I would do. Whoops. What is my opinion on tracing? I think that it is a great way to improve your drawing skills. And what I generally recommend people do is trace something. Let's say you're learning to draw a rose. The thing is, you've got to teach your brain when you first start drawing. Your brain has a very different idea of what something looks like from what it actually looks like. And so it's sometimes it slows students down sometimes because they keep making the same mistake again and again and again. If they freehand it on their own 10 times, by the 11th, 12th time, it's not usually improved that much. If I can have that same student trace that, let's say it's a rose, trace it 10, 11 times. By that 12th time, when they freehand it, it should be near perfect because they're forcing their brain to see things accurately and not what their brain thinks a rose looks like. So I think tracing is such a great way to teach an artist to improve their skills. Now, I'm not saying you should only trace because it helps if you trace something so many times, then freehand it. Trace it again so many times, then freehand it. Go back and forth like that so that you are improving your freehanding skills. For somebody like me, I can draw extremely accurate. If I freehand something versus trace something, you will not know which one was traced versus freehanded. But if I trace something, oh my gosh, I can save 2 days worth of work because I'm going to make sure it's perfect when I freehand it. So that's the difference. Like if somebody already knows how to freehand, I see nothing wrong with tracing. If it saves the time, I'm going to use whatever tools are available to me to save that time. So yeah, I think tracing, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's a way that I've taught students, and I've seen so much improvement when I moved a student from just freehanding to trace, then freehand, then trace and trace and trace, and then freehand that same subject. I have seen huge, like leaps and bounds improvements on those students. Okay, I think I'm caught up on questions. Let's get some more of this done. So this area, I'm trying to look at what ends up getting light. I think there is a bit of her hair here. I'm going to push a little harder just so I can map that out. But then this is actually her dress. And where else? This doesn't have to be exact. That's a big, big tip. When you are drawing hair, you will often hit a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I am lost right now. It doesn't have to be exact. It just needs to be close. When I get under her face, that has to be a lot closer. But for this, actually, let me move too. I need a slightly darker pencil. That was too dark. HB will work to block out where the hair versus the dress should be. So that and that. Oh, this is actually hair here. We've got a curve that comes and meets here. I'm just kind of giving myself an idea of where things are going to go. And I've got to fill in, what was I missing? So that most of that is actually going to be hair. Okay. See, I'm just working that pencil in little ovals, and I'm overlapping. Make sure I get that pencil into all those little white spaces. You want to watch when you're working in pencil too, and this is something I see students do a lot. When they start shading, they just do this all over and try to fill it in. And I don't mean just making hair. I mean like they'll just do these harsh start and stop points, and you can always see that streakiness. If you want it to be smoother, work your pencil in little circles or ovals and overlap. Blue Tea Art, what is my favorite art supply for graphite drawing? Everything linked in the video description. Those are my favorites. Like favorite one thing? Well, the pencils, I would say. I'm using the Faber-Castell pencils. And just for transparency, one of the sets I'm using today, I bought myself, and one of the sets they sent me. So, there you go. But yeah, the favorite art supply, that and I would say my Tombow mono eraser is definitely a favorite of mine. Chandra said, I'm kind of shocked that you pronounced my first name correctly. Thanks for the advice. Am I still pronouncing it correctly? I'm so bad about that. I can pronounce your last name, no problem, though. Let's see. Honest Paul said, do you have any videos or quick tips about getting smooth skin with graphite and or charcoal? Well, okay, if you look at my video that I did recently, the one, like, it went up, I think, a week ago, that one with the rose, the way that I'm blending to get smooth, it's the same. I use the same techniques on a rose as I would do on a person, on skin. Now, once this video is up, you'll be able to watch this. That'll definitely help a lot. But the way that I would shade or blend a rose, the way that I would shade or blend anything, it's really the same for the skin. You're using the same techniques with minor alteration, just alterations, minor variations. There's not a whole lot that would be different there other than just really paying attention to where your lights and darks go. You want them to be more precise with a portrait, but let me smooth out where her arm is going to go. I'm making a mess there. My edge was all bumpy. It was making her arm look really fluffy there, but it's really the same. And when you first start, it's normal to not have everything be quite as perfect as you want, quite as smooth as you want. You're going to pick that up with experience, with practice. Draw more, try, keep working on getting it shaded smoothly more, and that's going to make a big difference. But if you can layer it the same way, like in that rose video that just went up recently, the beginner's tutorial, that was a long one. It's like almost 50 minutes long. That will give you, it's the same techniques. Frankie of Texas Tigress Designs. How do I learn shading? All in caps. Why are you yelling at me? That video I was just talking about with the rose, look that one up because it goes over everything, all the tools I'm using, and it's also for on a budget. So you can get all that stuff. If you're using coupons, you can get all that for under $30. But I walk you through step by step how to just even get started with shading and a few different techniques that I use. But here, I mean, with shading, I'm starting with a light pencil and just paying attention to my values. Where are my lights? Where are my darks? That's what really matters here. But that video is a great, great start. Irvin, what are my favorite graphite pencils? I would say the Derwent 9000, and I've got their art set and their, what is it, an art set and a designer set? One's an art set, one is under there, one I think it's called a designer set. I've been using both just to have a bigger range, but those and the Derwent graphics are the new Derwent graphics, the one with, do I have it over here? This one. If it's got this cover, this is the one that I like with the Derwent graphics. The old cover or the old pencils, they improved them when they changed the label. These are the ones that I like. So if you go to a store and you see the Derwent graphics and it has a different, the old label, those are not the ones that I like. Okay, back to hair. So this is extremely, extremely tedious, but it's worth it in the end. When I sit down, I usually just give myself a little area that I'm going to focus on. I don't try to do all her hair. I mean, this takes up a huge, there's a lot of hair on this. I'm not even focused on that. I'm not even thinking about that hair. All I'm worried about right now is this one little section that I'm going to focus on start to finish. And it makes it way easier to tackle and not get so overwhelmed with all the detail. Like I said, if you have a little thing off, a little strand of hair is out of place, no one is going to know the difference. It's not a big deal. Well, you guys will know the difference because you know where my reference photo came from. Pixabay, by the way, if you didn't know. You see, I'm going back the other direction with those little circles or ovals. Just really making sure that graphite is in all of those little nooks and crannies. Now, if you want to blend things out, you can take a shading tool. I can smooth it even more. Now, a lot of times when you buy these shading tools, they'll come in a kit that has that sandpaper. I don't recommend using that sandpaper on these. People, for some reason, and maybe that's what the people who make it intend, but they'll use it to sharpen and clean these things. You don't want these sharpened or cleaned. They work best when they're dirty, and when you rub it on there, on the sandpaper, it makes it really rough. That is not how I want these to be really, really smooth. So I don't recommend using that sandpaper for these things. And I see people do it all the time, and it basically ruins them. I can't use them once it's been it never really improves once it's been on, or that sanded paper has been used on them. So, or sandpaper. I will use it to sharpen pencils. Yes, mostly colored pencils, but not these guys. Yes, Gail, this is a really close-up view of what I'm doing. This is her clothing. You can kind of, this is part of her arm. This is her other arm, and then just part of her hair. This is the end. She has her hair braided, and this is the end of it here that we're doing today. If you go over on Facebook, the post on my my art page or the post that I posted in the Lachri artist group, that you can see in the thumbnail what this whole portrait is. Let's see. Ariel, what are your must-have colors when it comes to airbrush paint? I was gifted an airbrush last week, gathering the necessary supplies. So excited to use it. Must-have for me is black and white, and then all the other colors too. So I'm kind of addicted to, I want all the colors. Black and white are the only ones I can say are my must-haves. But it's like any other paint. You can mix. It's just kind of a pain. I find mixing paint with airbrush is more annoying and a bit more, because you have to mix it. It's just a pain. So I don't like to mix paint if I can avoid it. I just like to buy the colors available. My favorites, I will tell you, are Golden's. Golden's high flow or high fluid, whatever, their airbrush paint. I really like them, and I really like Holbein's airbrush paints. But as far as colors, black and white are the only two like must-haves for me. The rest are all, I want them to. I'm not helpful at all, I'm sorry. Honest Hall, sorry I'm asking so many questions. No, ask away. Thanks for all the advice. What do you use of the overhead camera, and what stand, if you know? I'm not sure what you're asking. Overhead camera. What do you use of the Okay, so if you mean for the live stream, the two cameras I'm using, this one is a Logitech Brio. I'm hit or miss on how much I like it. It's supposed to be better quality, except it's built. It's almost like a downgrade in the overall build. The resolution's better, but the design of it is stupid, and I won't be buying another one of these. The one that this one here is can I see it from here? No, I can't see it from there. This one's they're both Logitech. This one's a Logitech, I want to say something with an E and a 9 and a 30. See, E930, I don't know. Those are things. Whether or not those are right things, I don't know. But that's what I'm using for this one here. So, I bet you probably used overhead because most people use overhead and they're working flat. I'm at an easel, so mine is attached to a boom mic. I think your question just suddenly made sense to me. My brain woke up just a little bit. But this is a boom mic stand. So if you're going to use a boom mic stand for your cameras, you want to get a heavy duty one. This one's about $100. The weight at the bottom, I think it weighs as much as I do. It is heavy. So if you get a lightweight boom stand, and it's for music, it's not really intended for cameras. If you get one of those, if you put a heavy camera on it, it just kind of tilts right over. So you need to get something super heavyweight, and I'm using an adapter that allows me to use it for the cameras. So and I got the boom mic stand. Oh, hold on, my laptop is not plugged in. Whoops, that was something I forgot, and it is telling me it's going to turn off. There we go. That'll help. Glad it gave me the warning. Oh, things are way brighter now. Who knew that had happened? But yeah, those are, and I got the stand is from Amazon. Actually, most of the camera, all of this you can get at Amazon. But yeah, with the boom mic stand, if it's less than $100, it's probably not good. Well, here, actually, this will help you. The base, I think, is 18 pounds for just the base, not the rest of it. So you want something that's at least that heavy. Let's see. Whoops, that just scrolled too far. Way too far. Okay. Frankie, I'm not yelling. Older eyes and on my laptop to see has to be in caps. Sorry. Thanks for the advice. Let's see. Louise says, lots of great advice. Thank you. Do you have a favorite weight grade of pencil that you always reach for? HB, 2B, 3B, or does it depend on what I'm drawing? It depends on what I'm drawing. I would say I go through the 2H and the 4H probably faster than most of my other pencils. And then the 8B and the 8B is one of my shorter ones, but that's always at the end. I'll switch to those later on. The 8B, I find myself with the 3B, the 2B, and the 8B and 6B. Not because there's a reason. Those ones just, if I only could use a few, those would give me everything I need. Like, I don't really need all the in-betweens. Yeah, that's most of what I'm using. Occasionally, I'll jump down to like a 6H, or I think the Joint Graphics has even a 9H. I've used that a few times, not often, but that one's pretty handy too. Just because you don't see it often. Let's see. Whoops, that scrolled too far. Do I have any tips for perfecting fine lining for people with shaky hands, how to hold it, etc.? Practice. I mean, and it depends on why your hands are shaky. If it's for a medical condition where that's not going to necessarily improve with time, then I would say work on looser drawings. Maybe fine, precise detailing isn't the best fit. That doesn't mean you can't be a great artist. You just may want to go with a different style. If it's just from a lack of practice, which happens, a lot of people when they first get started, speaking of the B pencils, let's go ahead and switch to 2B. But if it's just a matter of getting started, don't grip your pencil like it's, you're hanging on to it for dear life. I don't hold it very tight at all. I also, you'll see my hand never down here. Like you are drawing with your hand down here on your pencil, you can't see anything. You have very little control and you can't see what you're doing. Back your hand up. You'll notice my hand is generally quite a ways away. I always want to be able to clearly see the front of my pencil. Plus, if your hand is up super close at the tip, you're going to have graphite all over your hand. You're smearing your work as you work. So keep your hand back further and don't grip it like it's going to save your life. So here is the 2B, and this one is going to be a much, much softer lead than what I was using, and I'm not pushing very hard again. And I can start mapping out where those darks go. I missed a whole spot that should have had 2H. Where did that pencil go? Okay, I know you're in here. I just had you. Why'd you run away? There it is. Oh, it's not the same one, but it'll work. See, I want that darker lead there, but I need something as a base that's a little bit lighter so it doesn't end up being too gritty. Brett said, did you hear the Smithsonian is putting up Bob Ross paintings on permanent display? No one, including Bob Ross, ever thought that would happen. Yeah, I did, and I think it's amazing. Not because he's like, as far as skill level goes, the most amazing artist out there. I think it's amazing because that man did more to bring artists into the art community than anyone else, like probably ever. He got so many people started who otherwise would have been afraid to try painting. So I think he absolutely deserves it. While his artwork, technical skill level, not super advanced, what he did for the art community is incredible. So I think it's awesome. I think that's so cool. Let's see. Whoops. Kelly says, you mind giving another shout out for the book group? It's not too late to start the book for this month. Yes, and actually, did I even download mine? I can tell you guys what we're reading. So we have an art book, which, I forgot to put in the description. I can't do it easily right now, but I need to. We have, why am I having a Norton pop-up? I don't even use Norton. I canceled you and deleted you. I hate Norton. And I hate that it comes installed on computers. But anyway, if you go to Facebook, Lachri Art Book or Lachri Book Group. Lachri something. I didn't actually make the groups. I don't remember the name. But anyway, we are doing a book club so we can kind of chat and talk about books we read while for me, while I arted. Where are my buttons? There are my buttons. I can't see. Let's see. Where is it? 1 second. Let me refresh. I just bought it. Skyward by Brandon. No, hold on. I can't see the words. Open. I don't like how this app looks right now. There we go. It doesn't tell me.
This is...
No, don't play. Brian Sanderson. Skyward. See? Look. That's what it looks like. But that is the book we're currently, for this month, I just bought it, so I'm excited to start that one. Apparently my audiobook wants me to start listening now. But you can join that, and we'll talk about the book once we read it. Which I'm excited to do. I've never done that before. I've never joined a book club. Okay, scroll too far. Where am I? But yeah, just look up Lachri and Book in Facebook. Like, do a search for that, and the club will come up. Crystal said, I was watching an acrylic painting class today. The teacher kept leaving her brushes in the water. It was so cringy. I had to stop watching. Oh my gosh. I know what you mean. It drives me crazy. You know what was really hard? When I was teaching at one of those places where you drink wine, or like not me as a teacher, but the people who came to the class, they would come and bring wine and paint. One of the policies for just in general, we always had to tell the students to keep their brushes in the water because it was the lesser of the two evils. No one would rinse the brush out all the way, so the brushes were getting ruined from not being rinsed. So they had to start having us tell them to leave it in the water all the time. That was painful. That was definitely hard for me. Let's see. Ariel said, I certainly understand the need to collect every color. I think I'll just limit myself to 12 paints for now. Let's see how long that lasts. Yeah, I try to do that. It doesn't last. It's an addiction. Tanner said, do you think in the video the pencils seem darker than in real life? I believe my 2B not as dark as yours. It looks about the same to me, but remember I put a 4H down first, and that may be why it looks that much darker. And it's going to be a difference of computer monitors for sure. So it is absolutely possible and very likely that yours is higher contrast than what mine is. So that's probably what's happening there. On my, it looks about the same. Very close anyway. Let's see. Okay, the name is Lachri Book Group. So if you look that up on Facebook, you can join our little book club and read the book with us. Sarah said, I'm getting ready to start working on a graphite drawing where the background is super dark, basically black. What do you recommend to keep it from getting shiny? If you've got graphite powder, I love that as a base layer. You can get things so dark and then go on top of that. That's my favorite for a really dark background. Of course, you can also use like, what is it? Why is my brain shutting down? Not charcoal. What's the one in between? There's one, it's a combination of charcoal and graphite. It's carbon pencil. A carbon pencil will get really dark, and that actually has a very flat finish. So it's not really graphite. It would technically be considered mixed media. That may be a way for you to go. But if you're going to stick just with graphite, I love using carbon pencil first, or not carbon pencil, graphite powder. Words are so hard. And then building up like what I did on this background, which you can't see on this one. But anyway, that is what I would do. The other way is just like I'm doing here. Even with the background, I would do the 2H or a 4H and then build darker and darker until you get it to where you want it to be. But use a light hand. Don't push hard and don't work, because when we get to where we're doing a really large area, we have a tendency we want to go faster. And so we're moving that pencil really fast back and forth. Even if you're using a light hand, the speed will start to polish and shine it. So working slow, working your hand slow will also help. Oh, that's scrolled too far. Blue Tea Art. When should someone sell their art? I'm not sure on my skills yet. As soon as someone is ready to buy it, you're ready to sell it. I mean, you can try putting it on eBay and see if there's any interest. What age did you start doing art? How long have you been doing it for? I was coloring from the time I was little. I was sick a lot. I have celiac disease and now ankylosing spondylitis and fibromyalgia. But as a kid with celiac, we didn't know that it's an autoimmune disorder. So if I was exposed, if I was sick all the time. So I would draw and color. I didn't really feel that well, so I didn't want to ride my bike all the time. And I don't want to make it sound like I had a terrible childhood and I didn't get to ride my bike. I did. But I was also sick so often that it would take me so long to get over illnesses where most kids would get over them a lot faster, that I would just draw a lot. So I've been using crayons, of course, since I can remember. And then when I was, I want to say right around 10, 11, and I always like to draw, but once I hit about 10, no, it was probably 11 or 12, I was very not jealous, angry or anything, but my friends had all the cool posters of tigers and dolphins and stuff on their walls. I couldn't afford those. My family I did not come from money. So I started drawing things on my own. My mom would always, even though I didn't have money, she would always have charcoal cheap stuff, but something for me to draw with. That was always available to me, mostly charcoal and watercolor, anything that was cheap. So I would do these charcoal drawings. My mom had a book of different parrots. Parrots of the World is what it was called, big book. And I would just try to copy those, and then I would have them all over my walls. And that's really when I started taking things more serious, because I wanted to decorate my walls, but we couldn't afford posters, and that was a way to go. I also used to draw on the back or inside of paper bags from grocery stores too. Used to do that a lot as well. Anything I could draw on. So forever is the answer to that. Gail, do you have a preference in brand of graphite pencils? I generally find myself reaching for my Faber-Castell, the 9000 series. And if not that, I really like the Derwent, I have to look over to remember the name, the Derwent Graphics. So the new ones, not the old Derwent Graphics. The old Derwent Graphics, they're okay. They were similar to Prisma. I hate Prismacolors. They're turquoise graphite pencils. Those things have so many little nuggets and rocks in them. They're horrible. But the old Derwent graphics were similar to that. A little bit better, but they still had a lot of that. And the new ones don't. The new ones are amazing. So those are my two favorite sets. Either way, you'll be happy. Let's see. Gail said, I just ordered a 12 the Faber-Castell 9000 art set of pencils with my knight and armor on the cover. Are these comparable to the Derwent 9000? Isn't it the same? Derwent art set. I think they're the same. The only difference is you've got, you said the armor on the, let's see. throw this over. Okay, so they are different. So the one with the armor guy, that one ranges from 8B to 2H. That's the one I've had forever. So yes, you're going to love it. And then the 9000, that's the design set with a castle. This one ranges from 5H, so you get the lighter range and only goes as dark as 5B. So if I had to choose one or the other, I would go with the one with the knight on the cover that you got, the art set, because you get the darker lead there. I mean, I'm really happy to have them both, but if I had to choose, the one you got is the one I would go with. Carlene said, are you using charcoal powder? What brand would you recommend? I'm not using charcoal powder. I have graphite powder, which is not over here. The one I have is by Generals, but I can't find it anymore. I don't know if they stopped making it. I don't even know what happened there, but any graphite powder should work about the same, but that's the one that I have. Kelly in Newman said, I'm actually struggling to choose between the live stream and proofreading a sequel to Skyward tonight. So, whoops, there we go. So doing both isn't working very well. I proofread 2 sentences. Yeah, I can do this. I can't listen to talking and read at all. My husband does that all the time. He'll be reading something and I'm like, wait, I needed to tell you something. He goes, I'm listening. You can't be listening and reading at the same time. He'll repeat back what I just said while he was reading. I'm like, your brain is weird. How does it do that? Because mine doesn't at all. Ursi said, sometimes I would use Derwent Sketch wash graphite pencils first to have an approach on a loose, if we're using the regular for... Oh, yeah, the Derwent pencils first to have a wash, the Derwent Sketch. So, yeah, that would be another way you could go. What Ursi is doing, he's taking the water-soluble graphite, doing that as a base. So you could do that for that background. I forget who it was that asked about a background, making it get bigger or making it get darker, easily. The watercolor, water-soluble graphite, that would be a really perfect way to go. Good idea, Ursies. That didn't even cross my mind. That's perfect, especially if you want everything to really be dark. I was smart today and made coffee for the stream. Okay. Oh, that's good. That one's coconut. Okay, so right now everything is still a little on the greeny gritty, so I may have jumped to too dark too soon. So what I can do, I'm going to come back through with the HB. So darker than 4H. There we go. See how I can get into all those little crevices? So I'm going to be a bit sharper. And I'm not pushing hard. It often looks like I'm pushing really hard with my pencils just because my fingers they bend weird. I'm a freak, but I'm not. It's really light. But this on top, so here's another way you could go. If you jumped a little too soon into the darker pencils, the softer pencils like I apparently did, go get it in between. So this one's an HB. I started with the 2H. Then when I went on with the 2B, I was getting that little graininess. And this also is going to help me blend it. And so I'm going in with it in between, and this is really getting in there better. I'm liking the results of that. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go through with the 2B, block in where the darks are going to be, and then I'll come on top with the lighter pencil again. And see how I'm just paying attention to my shapes. I'm not super worried about my values yet. I will be, just not yet. Okay, I lost my place. Let's see. I think here has the dress poking through. There we go. And it'll often feel like this crazy maze of, oh my gosh, I don't know what line goes where. Break it down into a small piece and compare it against itself. I mean, if I know the hair splits here, if I go straight over, well, it's not actually straight over there. That should be up higher. But that's where, oh, actually my dress should be here. See, look, I checked myself against it and I was wrong. So this gets filled in. There's where the dress, because I want to pay attention to, check your work against itself. That's where I'm going there. So here I realized, oh, where this meets right over here is where the dress is. And you can check your work against itself if you're working on a small scale. If you're trying to do all the hair at once, I'm going to block in all the darks and all the lights and I'm going to try to get this done in an hour. Yeah, it's going to look terrible. It doesn't matter how good of an artist you are. It will look terrible. So don't, unless you're doing, more gesture, real loose drawing. Let's see. Getting caught up here. Do I use a spray fixative during layers or at the end of the work? I use it only at the end of the work. I'll use a matte finish. Gail said, I always appreciate your great art advice, but today I used my new guac lock for the first time. I love it. Thanks again. It's one of the best. That one came up for me. If you guys don't know what it is, it's if you like guacamole, go look up the guac lock on Amazon and you just should buy it. You should absolutely buy it. It seals out the air so it stays fresh. Like the top will get a little brown, but hardly anything. It's one of those ads that came up on Facebook. Now, when you see ads all the time on Facebook, in the reviews on there, it will always be like, oh my God, I bought this and it's amazing. I bought it and it's amazing. Always go and look at the actual reviews on Amazon, because there was actually a paint roller I almost bought. I came close, but I was like, wait, it's only $35. If I were to get a cheap paint roller, I'm going to pay at least $50 for all those tools. So it doesn't make sense that yours that is all amazing is only $35. So I went and looked up the reviews on Amazon. Yeah, no, don't buy that. But I always double check that, because sometimes the Facebook, I don't know if they're just deleting comments where people are like, this doesn't work, they're lying. But the guac lock, it is the most amazing thing if you like guacamole. I absolutely love that. Melissa said, does graphite powder come in different darkness levels? H versus B. You know what? Hold on. Let me grab mine and see what it says. I don't think so. I think it's just one. Let's see. The one I have. Ideal for large drawings and mixed media applications, professional artist quality, pure powdered graphite. And this is generals. That's what the one I have looks like. But like I said, I can't find it, so I don't know why. No, it doesn't say what level, which is kind of weird. You'd think it would. For professional use. Yeah, no. I'd be curious to that, because I really don't know. Nothing I've ever seen said for other brands either. It was just like, this is the only one we have. So I don't know there. Let's see. Okay. So back to just blocking this in. And this is getting really gritty again. I actually should sharpen this pencil. I need a different sharpener over here. I don't like the one. The one I have is breaking my lead. When you have a pencil sharpener that starts breaking the lead, unless you're using Prismacolor, it's probably just going to break anyway. But with other pencils, if you're having your lead break, it's time to switch sharpeners. It's weird because this one's actually fairly new. It may be chipped or something because it's like eating up my pencil. Wait, if I hold it weird, I can get it to work. There we go. I just have to get creative with that one. Chances are on that one that the blade is not sitting in properly. I don't want to push hard. Okay, what is going on here? This comes straight down. You can, well, I don't know if you can see on the video, but there's the little white dots showing through there. So that's where I'm going to come back through. Use my HB right in between. It's really going to get in there. But look how little each section I'm working on is. I'm not just jumping in and making these wide gestures with the pencils. When you do that, that's where, especially with the bigger ones, that are the darker leads, will give you that very grainy, gritty look. Work slow. And it's not this slow. I mean, I would have this whole section done in maybe 20 minutes or so, like, well, what I'm doing right now, when I'm not on the live stream. So it's not quite as slow as it seems on here, but it is still slow. That is not the pencil I want right now. There we go. Again, remember, don't try to draw in a bunch of individual strands. That's zombie hair. We don't want this. Don't go through. It's so easy to go, okay, I'm just going to do this. Look, I'm even getting curls. That's zombie hair. We don't want zombie hair. We want your values. Where are your lights? Where are your darks? Clumps and clusters. Not a bunch. You'll put in a few individual strands, not many. Don't be tempted to push hard just to make it go darker. If you need it darker, switch pencils. So this will mostly block in, so it gives me a pretty good idea on where things are going to go. Let's see. Donna asks, when is the next Patreon paint-along happening? Thanks for all you do. I don't have one scheduled. I'm going to try to do one a month. So, what is it right now? Let's see what we have coming up. I'll just pick a day right now. Unless something changes, let's plan on... That is not helpful. Let me pull up the app. So we did one... When was the one? We did one in July. I forget what day. I think it was July, right? So let's go for August... Saturday the 3rd. Does that sound good for you guys? Saturday the 3rd. Let me actually write that down. Let's plan on... Since you're asking, Donna, if Saturday, it'll be a Saturday at 2 p.m. But if that day, for some reason, you're on vacation, let me know, and I'll change it since you're the one here right now. But let's try August, Saturday the 3rd, 2 p.m. I have no idea what we're going to do. I need to do a different medium because I try to switch that up with each of the live streams. But, I'm open to suggestions. So let's plan on that for our next Patreon paint-along. Oh, that's interesting. No one said graphite powder is just graphite, no binders, therefore no level, HVB, etc. Interesting. I did not know that. Thank you. That makes sense. Frankie said, how does your fibro effect have on you? I have it and degenerative arthritis, and the meds give me brain fog most days. I find it hard to focus. So I have arthritis as well. I have ankylosing spondylitis. So my arthritis started when I was a teenager, which means I'm like 85 years old now. But, that's what my body feels like. So I've had that for a very long time. And then the fibro, I control it by diet. So low to like very low carbs, no bread, and I have celiac disease anyway, so I already can't eat gluten. But occasionally, and even actually yesterday, I cheated and had a gluten-free chicken sandwich. And the bread on that, I don't know if it was that or what, but my fingers, oh my gosh, they're still a little bit sore. I was in an insane amount of pain in my fingers yesterday, which was, because my airbrush or my compressor, but that was extremely, that doesn't happen that often, but I don't usually cheat that often either. I have been more and more lately, so I have to go back to eating healthy, but mostly high protein, low carb, very low carb, no sugar, no artificial anything. No, I can't even do stevia or like xylitol. All of those make me really sick, which is really annoying. Where did the pencil go? My husband gets to have like his ice cream that's sweetened with that. I can't even eat it. I start getting really sick. And the fatigue gets, very, very bad. Where did my 2B go? It's over here. So I control it with diet. I don't take any medications at all. At most, ibuprofen. Wine did help my fingers last night. That seemed to make them feel better. But I don't take anything. The side effects, the medication that they give you for fibroid doesn't really help that much. Not like the diet does. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just saying this is what worked for me. I stick with a very strict diet, and it is insane the difference in how I feel versus when I used to live off Doritos and, ate whatever I wanted, tons of sugar and all of that. The difference between then and now, night and day. Like, no medication was making me feel like I feel now. I still have fatigue. I think that's just I'm going to deal with forever. But as far as like the pain, I don't normally have it. It was actually really unusual last night for me to be in the amount of pain I was in. My back will always bug me a little bit just because of the arthritis. But even that isn't too bad as long as I keep my diet under control. But I noticed as soon as I start eating, like potatoes are my favorite. I could live off mashed potatoes or baked potatoes or French fries. Every potato except au gratin or tater tots, because those are disgusting. You people who like those, I'm judging you. Those are weird. But my sister loves them. It's an ongoing battle with us. But when I eat those, I felt so terrible. So yeah, it's for me, diet, and that allows me to get more art done. And I think that makes it easier too for me to stick to the diet, because I know if I start eating like crap, like last night, there is no way with the amount of pain I was in my hands that I could have worked in colored pencil or graphite. No way at all. So that alone is enough for me to go, okay, I can't eat that. I have to stop cheating. I have to start eating healthy. So that's how I deal with it. Donna said, yeah, Donna wants acrylics. I'm probably not going to do acrylics for the paint along this time, just because we just did it on the last one. So maybe Inktense so we can paint. Amelia, or we did Inktense recently though. That was the previous time. I try to mix it up so everybody gets to play, but yeah, well, we'll have to think about that. Emma said, my art supply store told me Generals stopped making their graphite powder. So I made my own with a graphite stick and sandpaper. It worked great. Oh, that's good to know. That's really cool. Uh-oh. You freaks and your tater tots. There's something wrong. There's a consistency issue for me. My sister insists it's the exact same as a French fry. No, it's not. It's like if someone chewed up a French fry and then stuck it all together and then tried to get you to eat it. No, it's not the same at all. Let's see. Sal said, starting out doing art, I'm wondering, should I spend more money on the pencils, paints, or the paper I'll be working on? Should I invest equal amounts for both? Well, it depends. I mean, it's not necessarily the money. I mean, the paints that I use, the Liquitex Basics, are one of the cheaper acrylic paints you can use, but they're quality and they work for my techniques. So I wouldn't say, like, there's one thing that you should invest all your money on. What I prefer people to do, let's say, we'll use acrylics as an example, but you can apply this to colored pencil or whatever. Use less colors then. So with acrylics, let's say start with black and white. Get a decent canvas. So like with me, I love Frederick's. For transparency, I'm sponsored by Frederick's, but they were already all I used because had some bad experiences with other canvases. So anyway, I stick with Frederick's. I would recommend a student go with Frederick's and then just get black and white and some paintbrushes. And there you go. Everything you're using is quality. Even though you don't have as many colors, it's a start. With colored pencils, same thing. You can use way less colors. Get a 12 pack of Faber-Castell. You're good to go. That and get decent paper though. You would want decent paper, because if you're using really cheap paper doesn't give you the same results. And it doesn't even have to be cheap. It could be really expensive paper, but not the right kind, and that could give you not good results. Like using a hot press or a cold press watercolor paper instead of hot press. That may not be great. So, yeah, I mean, it's not where I would say one thing or another. It depends on what you're doing, but I would say get quality, but fewer, like less stuff, but quality is what I would recommend people do. Brent says, Cretacolor makes decent graphite powder. Okay, that's good to know. Is that the one I linked? I have a graphite powder linked in the description. Hold on. I'm going to open it in a new tab and look. Is that what I linked? Yep, Cretacolor. Good. Because that's the only one I could find on Amazon. So I linked that. Whoops, there we go. Just to have an idea or let people know like what that sort of thing was, but it's not the one I'm currently using. Courtney says, maybe watercolor pencils. I think it has been a little bit since the last watercolor pencil paint along. That would be, yeah, it has been. That may be a good way to go. And then that shouldn't be too hard on anyone's hands, because you don't have to like push hard, or there's not that much layering. So yeah, let's plan on, I'm going to write that down. We'll do watercolor pencils. But even if you wanted to do it in acrylic, if I know during the paint along that you're working in acrylic, I'll tell you what I would do differently in acrylic. Just remind me when we do the paint along, and I'll kind of do the same explanation like we're doing this for watercolor pencils, but if you're working in acrylic, do it this way. So that way you can still follow along. Because really, the thing is with art, it's about your values. It's not even the medium so much as you can work in a different medium. As long as you get your values right, that's all that matters. So even if I'm working in let's say graphite with black and white, you're working in a black and white portrait or painting, it's similar. You're focusing on your values. So yeah, you could still do acrylics if we do a watercolor pencil. Pauline said, I would love to do Inktense on a paint along. I enjoyed the acrylic when we did July 2nd. So it was July 2nd. Okay, so it'll be about a month. We'll do Inktense again. The last one before the acrylic was Inktense, we did that flower, which you can still go follow along with if you've not done that. But you could even use Inktense for the watercolor pencil one then. And I'll do the same thing. I'll explain what the difference is between like the watercolor pencil versus Inktense. So, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I love makeup. I hope you feel better. That's no fun. And I can so relate. Not right now. My back's actually okay right now. So again, this is really grainy, gritty. The paper, I think I'm using the back of the paper, not the front. Doesn't make a huge difference. But I will definitely come back over this. With that HB and smooth it out before I jump into the darker lead. Because if I were to jump right now, let's say I take my 8B and I go right over anywhere that's a little bit gray, it looks smoother on what you guys are seeing than what I'm seeing. But if I go over that and it's grainy and gritty right now and I jump into the 8B, it's not going to get much better. It's still going to be grainy and gritty. I need to get rid of that first as much as possible before I jump into the 8B. So let's use the HB. I'm going to work right back over that. And now this is really getting into all those little nooks and crannies. It's getting rid of that white of the paper, those little holes that the 2B was too soft to really get into. Again, don't want to push hard, don't want to work the pencil fast. And this really smooths it out. And I really look forward to the day when there are webcams that are more accurate. This one, it always makes things on the webcams look smoother than what they are in person. I mean, I think that generally looks better, but it's also not helpful to you guys if you're like, why does hers look smooth right now and mine doesn't? So just so you know, mine is a bit grainy and gritty right now at this stage. And that's why I'm going over it with the HB. So I backed up. I was using the 2B. I did 4H, then 2B, still grainy gritty. I'm going to back off a little bit with that HB. And this is going to really smooth that out. This is making a huge difference that unfortunately my camera is not picking up for you guys. Just trust me. Okay. What is with this guy? There is somebody super angry in chat. I think moderators, that you have the ability just to block them from my channel altogether if you're able to do that. Bye, Gail. And bye, Donna, too. Aw, my friends are leaving me. So I want to make sure I stay nice and smooth when I get down to her arm. I don't want fluffy lines. I'm going to sharpen this pencil again. Starting to get a bit dull, which means it's not getting into all those nooks and crannies. And this is the thing you want to remember too with your pencils when you're trying to get it really smooth. Not just smooth, but even clean edges if that's what you're going for. Sharp enough to write is not sharp enough. You want it sharp enough to be a weapon. You want it really, really sharp. You want to be able to stab someone. I'm not recommending you stab someone, but you want the ability. Yay, coffee. Okay. And it's so funny as I go over this, it makes it look, I'm using a lighter pencil than I was with the 2B. This one's lighter, yet it looks darker because this one's getting into the nooks and crannies of the paper where the 2B was not. That and being sharper, that makes a big difference too. But with graphite, if you look at graphite work that people do and you're like, mine doesn't look like that, why doesn't mine? Probably slow down. That's probably the biggest thing you can do. Whatever happened to Kaneho? We haven't seen him in forever. I haven't heard from him in forever. He had messaged me with kind of like, have a good life type email. Like, it wasn't a mean one, like, screw you type thing. He was just like, I don't know what that was all about. It was one of those, I hope he's okay and didn't do something stupid. But he had emailed me and just, I don't remember why he said. I don't even think there was a reason. Just that he wasn't going to be on the live streams anymore. I don't know if he got a job or I don't know what happened. So now I can take a few individual strands of hair and throw those out. Not too many. Because I don't want to make her hair look stringy. Now I can jump into a even darker lead. So let's go to, I was using 2B. Let's try a 4B. Blue Tiara says, my pencils are sharper than my kitchen knives. Me too. Now this 4B is getting nice and dark. And then from here, I'll probably jump up to the 8B. But I'm going to make sure this smooths out first. Now, I'm not worrying too much about values here. I know the section that I'm working on is the darkest part of the portrait. There's very little. I have a little bit lighter in one area, but for the most part, this is all as dark as I can get it. But you can see how slowly I build up to that. I don't just grab the darkest pencil, not if I want it smooth. And it'll always be tempted. Even there, I'm so tempted just to push harder with the pencil. Don't do that. Where did my HB go? Found the H. Oh, why can't they color coordinate these? There it is. You know, if you have the two sets between the art and the design set with the Faber-Castell pencils, you're going to have a lot of duplicates on the pencils. It's not like each set has different ones. Gail said, with Patreon, is the monthly cost per artist channel or does it cover all artists? Say you, Jason, Morgan, and Proco, etc. It's you. Each artist that you sign up for, you pay whatever that artist is charging. So, like, maybe Jason Morgan's is $5. I don't remember what his is. I think his is $4 as well. But you think I know. I'm signed up for him. But if you're paying $5 to one artist and then you come to me and you want my $9 one, now you're paying the $9 and the $5. Or if you come to me and you're paying, you know, the $5 here and then you sign up to my $4 one, then you're paying $5 for that artist and an additional $4. My gosh, say that fast a million times. But it's for each artist. You would pay an additional amount. Let's see. Oops. Remember, if you're not doing the Lachri fine art where it highlights in orange, I'm not going to see the question in most cases. So try to get that to work. And if you can't get it to work, if you let one of the mods know, they can push the question for you if I'm not catching it. I am not using any, well, okay, sort of. I am using this blending tool occasionally, but for the most part, it's the pencils. I've used that very little for this stage. How is Chicken? He is adorable. He actually, so chicken story time. One of my dogs likes to get under his cage and hunt for any spare bird seed. She's not even supposed to be in that room, but sometimes my husband will leave the door open and she sneaks in. And chickens, or well, cockatiels. Cockatiels are one bird that have a tendency to have, like, unlike any other bird, they get night terrors really bad. And it takes very little. It could be a shadow on the wall. Anything can set them off. And they get very, very spooked. So the dog spooked him. She was under his crate. My husband wasn't paying attention. He got under there. And so I was just getting into the bath, like just stepped in. And my husband comes and knocks on the door and he's like, chicken's bleeding. Crap. Bad timing. So I get back out, dry off. So I have to go back and take a bath again. I wasn't even in the water all the way up. So, like, you could not have worse timing. So he brings chicken in, and what happens when they get spooked, they'll flap around their cage a lot. And sometimes, and I've had this happen with birds when I was younger with cockatiels, you'll wake up and it'll look like a crime scene, like Dexter got into your room all over the wall. The bird's fine, but there is blood everywhere. So what happens, they have if you've seen a feather, like if this is the feather, there's a clear casing and that fills with blood while the feather is growing out. And then that recedes once the feather is matured. But if that breaks, it's like just a tube, like a, a line in just directly into the blood, and it just keeps coming out, keeps dripping. So I ended up having to pull my bathroom too. I keep finding spots of blood in there now. I had to pull the feather that was bleeding, and then I covered them all. I wasn't sure if I got the right feather because there was so much blood. So I also covered him in Quick Stop, and he hung out with me that night. He thought it was great because he got to hang out with me during his normal bedtime. He got to stay on the desk with me so I could make sure the bleeding had stopped before I put him back to bed. But yeah, that was our scary. And I mean, not scary. It happens. I've dealt with it a million times in the past. Not with him. This was the first time with him. But I mean, growing up, raising my parents bred birds. So, I mean, this is not, dealing with broken blood feathers is not uncommon. It was just the first with him. So yeah, that was poor chicken. But he thought, like I said, he thought it was great because he got all that extra attention. But we're being extra careful to keep that dog out of the room, like really watching that she doesn't spook him. And anything can spook him. Like my husband could snore at night and that could have spooked him. Anything will do it. But we know for certain the dog screwing around under his cage did it. Poor sketchy chicken. Yeah, we keep his cage covered and that does help. When I was a kid, the cockatiel I had in my bedroom, we didn't have air conditioning, so there was really no air moving on her. So we just kept I usually didn't cover the cage, but she would get, and I didn't realize as a kid that that's what was happening. Any little shadow, anything that wakes them, and they just wake in an absolute terror. And no other bird really does it like they do. I mean, our other birds would get spooked when we had earthquakes. I'm originally from Southern California, so we got that a lot, but just random, like I'm going to panic and freak the heck out. That seems to be pretty, like, it's a cockatiel thing. Poor chicken. Rick's Artwork said, did you see Aaron Blaze's live stream yesterday of the owl at night in Photoshop? Oh my God, so beautiful. His use of light is amazing. I haven't. I'll have to go look at it. Yeah, he is like, I am so inspired by his use of light. Aaron's, like, if you guys have not looked up Aaron Blaze here on YouTube, oh my God, he is phenomenal. And his use of light is what gets me. I'm like, I so hope to get to that like level of being able to do light like he does someday. He's amazing. Dino Idea said, is it okay to use charcoal or a black colored pencil to get the darkest darks in graphite piece? Okay, so it is, but wherever you use the charcoal, it's going to be very dull, very matte, and it doesn't really stick on top of the graphite that well. So what I typically do if I'm going to mix charcoal with it, I have charcoal in its own little special place, and then graphite in its own. They kind of overlap, but it just doesn't stick that well. And then it ends up being the same with the colored pencil. If you're going to go over with black colored pencil, it's very obvious that it's now a mixed media, but it's very obvious the difference that is not graphite. But if I'm going to mix colored pencil with graphite, and I need to do some of those pieces, I have not done that forever, I usually do the same thing. Colored pencil stays in its little designated area. Graphite stays in its designated area. The colored pencil doesn't stick that. It sticks some, but not like it would to straight paper. The graphite is just too slick. So that's how I do it. Yes, they can be used together. They just don't always stick that well. So if you play around with it, though, you do mix media with them. But it's pretty obvious. It's kind of like when somebody comes on top of, like, they did graphite and they wanted white highlights with a white gel pen. It is really obvious you just used a white gel pen. Sometimes it looks amazing. Usually it does not, though. Gail said, my cockatiel Senny had many night frights, but thankfully he never got injured, just enough to bleed. Thank goodness for Quick Stop. Poor chicken, yeah. Quick Stop is like, I have a couple of those on hand all the time. That is definitely a must. And I'm not sure if it was the Quick Stop or if I actually grabbed the right feather. But whatever it was, once I did those two things, because I did them all in one step, he finally stopped bleeding. Let's see. Randy said, we will be moving in less than a month. We are going to get a macaw after we start settling into our new place. Do you know a lot about macaws, or have you lived with one? I mean, they're amazing birds, but they are, like, my husband really wants one. I've told him, until you retire, no. They're extremely loud, extremely destructive, which isn't a problem. I mean, if you know what you're doing with them, and you may know what you're doing. So I'm just throwing this out there for anyone listening. A lot of people look at the birds and they're like, yeah, I want a big bird. Extremely loud, extremely destructive. And they want to be with you, especially a lot of these bigger guys. They want to be with you all the time. And if they can't, they're not happy. So, I mean, even chicken's not happy if he can't be with me all the time. And he's not as extreme as a macaw can be. The amount of space and everything. Definitely, definitely something to spend a lot of time researching, or if you know friends who have macaws, that's really helpful if you can hang out at their house. The level of noise, like my husband keeps, it's funny because the noise that chicken makes drives him crazy because it being too loud. And I'm like, and you want a macaw? No, definitely not. Macaws are way louder. We used to breed macaws. So it's not that I'm like anti-macaw or anything. It's just that so many people don't realize what all is involved and how noisy, how destructive, and how much time is required with them. Blue and golds were my favorite of the macaws. Blue and golds and the hyacinths are my favorite. Don't get a scarlet if you can avoid it. They aren't always the best pets. They're definitely a one-person bird. It's not like chicken. Cockatiels will go and sit with every member of the family perfectly happy. I mean, I'm his favorite, but he'll still have times where he's like, nope, I'm going to go sit with my husband now. Whereas a macaw, you're typically they're more interested in their one person, and scarlets especially, you really get to where, scarlets and militaries will do this too. They're kind of jerks sometimes. They can be a lot harder to deal with for a lot of people who especially aren't familiar. Let's see. Jessica said, if you have a Tractor Supply or Atwoods in your area, you can get a sheep cattle size bottle of Quick Stop for the same price of a pet store bottle. Yeah, but then I have to store it. I hopefully won't need that much Quick Stop. Like one little thing of Quick Stop will last me like 10 years. Like yeah. I mean, for small animals, you typically don't use too much. Solar Sun said, portraits are hard. Is it easier to start a portrait in graphite in a big size paper or medium size, such as, okay, I don't know off the top of my head, A2, A4. My brain doesn't work like that. In the US, we go by inches because we're weird. So unfortunately, that means I don't know the A2 and A4 and all of those. But it depends on what it is, how much detail you want to do. Like this one is about, I'd say 18 inches long by, oh wait, I have a ruler down here. Hold on. Let me use my monkey feet and pick that up. Okay. Ooh, wow, I was just about right on there. Yeah, about 18 long. I'm kind of impressed with myself for that guess. And it's 12 and a half tall. So this one, if I were to do this again, knowing the detail I wanted to do in the lace of the dress, I probably would have gone larger. So if you want tons of little detail, go bigger. If it's just the face, it's something more simple, go a bit smaller, like an 8x10. I wouldn't go smaller than an 8x10. You'll have to do the math to figure out the difference there. But for something like this, at the inch size that I would probably, if I did it again, I would go a bit bigger. Takes longer, but it would be so much easier to get that tiny detail. Okay. Back to work. So she's going to have hair going over here. Oh, no, see, I started with that 4B and it is too rough. I need to switch to the 8B first, even for those little wisps. Now, the other thing that I can really see as I start to layer this in, and I knew this was going to be the thing, I mentioned this on the Patreon video of the clothing. I know for a fact I'm going to have to come back through and darken up the clothing because I'm comparing right now my values up against the white of the paper. And I know that it's not dark enough. So once I get the hair in, I can now really easily see, like, get back in here, this needs to be way darker. So let's go over the clothing there. So it's going to be so much easier for me now to be more brave and make it as dark as it needs to go. That clothing is way too light. Let's see. Blue Tea Art, do you have any tips on framing your work? Well, it depends on what it is, but for the most part, I get my stuff. Hobby Lobby has their half open frames 1 week are half price, and regular frames are half price the opposite week. Not the highest quality frames, but if I'm framing my work, the buyer may want to upgrade that anyway. So I go with simple and cheap. Just like plain black usually works good for most. But that's what I do for those. And if it's paper or colored pencil or like graphite, if it's on paper, I'm going to mat it. But again, simple, go basic. I'm not going to go crazy and use some bright colors or anything unless the piece just really would look better with that. More often than not, I'm going to go simple. So, and let the buyer then go ahead and upgrade as they want to. But that's where I get mine because they are fairly inexpensive and you don't want to spend an arm and a leg on something that you're planning to sell. Because let the buyer do that. But you do, like if you're going to have it in a gallery, it has to be framed in something. So I go pretty minimalistic on that. Randy said, I grew up with 2 cockatoos and a green-winged macaw. Oh, that scrolled too far. and a blue and gold macaw. I got the experience covered. Oh, cool. So you know what you're doing. You're fine. That's so cool then. That's cool. I definitely agree with people need to do research before getting into a large parrot. Yeah, you know why I advise that then. Yeah, like my husband is just so, like, he wants a blue and gold so bad. He saw one at the zoo and I'm like, trust me, I know my husband. He does not want that. He has right now, Chicken is my bird, and then he's got his Nugget, which is a parrotlet. He's like, well, little guy. Super cute, super, like, perfect bird for him. So much personality. I didn't know parrotlets were like that. That was one bird we never had growing up, but those are really cool. And I'm like, you don't need you've got Nugget is enough for you. Like he still wants a ring neck too. He may do that one day, but, yeah, he's definitely one of my husband. And I think that's why I bring it up. Because my husband's one of those people who's like, I really want a macaw. And I'm sitting here going, no, trust me, you don't. I don't want a macaw. And I grew up with them. I love them, but I don't like that doesn't fit the amount of time and attention that they need. When it eats all your comic books, you're gonna say something. You're not going to want it anymore. Let's see. Kalea, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Can I achieve great and similar results to your to your colored pencil work without using mineral spirits? Any tips on what I will need to change or focus more on? Like smoother paper. You can use the same paper. Look up Alan Woolett. I think it's Wool. Is it 2 L's? I don't know. Try some different spellings. But Alan Woolett, he is amazing, and he uses only polychromals. He uses the Fabriano Artistico, the paper that I'm using, the hot press watercolor paper. He doesn't use OMS. His is just by layering, and his looks amazing. I mean, I would love for my work to look like his. So, yeah, no, you absolutely can do it without OMS. I think it probably takes longer, but yes, you can. Jessica said, I've never seen Nugget on your channel. What breed did you say Nugget was? Now I want to look it up. He's a parrotlet. He's green with some blue. Funniest little bird. He is a pain. He doesn't let me pick him up. I can catch him. Once I catch him, if I put him on my shoulder, he'll stay with me. He's not going to go anywhere. And if he gets to where he starts biting my earring, I just have to move my hand towards him and he flies to the other side. But he'll stay with me. It's just catching him is a pain. He is definitely my husband's bird. He likes to play, if I go in there, he'll be sitting with my husband and he just tells me off when I come in. He doesn't want me in there because, he's very protective. My husband is his human. So if I go and sit down though and take either a paper towel or like I don't have one on here, like a hand towel on the floor, he will dive in it. That's just a fun game. He likes to play with me. And then when I lift it, he goes, peekaboo. And then I cover him back up and we just do the peekaboo game. So even though he doesn't want me to pick him up with my hands, he'll sit with me. He'll come get on me on his own. Weirdest little bird. And I've never had to trim his nails or his wings, so it's not like I've done something to him where he's like, no, her hands are scary. He is funny. That bird has so much personality. If anything ever happened to Chicken, I mean, Chicken's young. I should have him for the next 25 years or so, but I would get a parrotlet. Would be like, I think he's just the personality on that bird is incredible. Really funny. I mean, Chicken's awesome too, but Nugget, he's a character. Let's see. Ariel, random question. What materials is your OMS holding container made out of? I got a plastic one, thinking it didn't matter, but the OMS warped it so badly. The lid doesn't fit anymore. Oh, that sucks. I'm using one, it's called Lock and Lock. I don't remember how it's spelled. It's spelled weird. Lock and Lock. I got them on Amazon. It's just a little one. That's what I've been using for years, the same one. Hi, Miriam. Thank you. Okay. Solar Sun, do I prefer scary horror or fantasy fairies, mermaid art? Fantasy fairies, mermaids. I've never read a mermaid book, but fantasy, definitely. I'm not one into horror at all. I like happy endings and rainbows and butterflies and crap, I guess. That's always a must for me on like books and stuff. Like it has to have a happy ending and not just like there was a book, I'm not going to say it because if you haven't read it, I don't want to ruin it for you, but it was a really popular, I've made movies out of it, book. And it ended, like when I finished the book, it was like, or the series, it was like, I don't feel right. Like, I don't feel okay. It wasn't really a bad ending. Well, kind of it was, but kind of not. And I just don't like to be left feeling icky. And that one really made me feel, I just felt icky after reading it. It wasn't a horror or anything. It was, well written for the most part. But yeah, I don't like stuff like that. Jessica said, oh, he sounds like a pint-sized Great Pyrenees as a bird. Great Pyrenees are like, yeah, I know what those guys are. Those are awesome. I actually really like Great Pyrenees. They're so pretty, too. Oh, my gosh. Love them. Emily said, I spilled some OMS on my carpet. What should I do? Don't use a hairdryer on it. It shouldn't really do anything. The only way it would end up with like a stain or something is if your carpet was dirty. Just the fact that it got wet, it might, depending on what it was wet. Just sop it up with a paper, with a towel is all I'd do. Frankie said, I grew up with birds as well. We had a yellow-naped Amazon. I totally agree that they want to be with you all the time. We had a cockatiel, Myers parrot, lovebirds, and parakeets. Oh, my parents bred lovebirds, too. Lovebirds and macaws. And then we had cockatoos, like just as our pets. What else do we have? My blue-fretted Amazon I got for my 12th birthday. It's funny, I talk about, like, we didn't have money for posters, but I always had animals. Like, I definitely did not, like, I don't want to make it sound like I grew up with, like, I didn't have cool stuff in my life as a kid. I had so many animals, so I had a happy childhood. I should always throw that out there when I do the whole, like, I couldn't afford posters. Couldn't afford posters because I had the animals. But, yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of those guys. We had an Amazon named, we named him Bob. We got him. He had belonged to somebody else before. He was a yellow nape for a while. And, well, no, he was always a yellow nape. He lived with us for a while. I did not word that correctly. But he would yell Bob at the top of his lungs. So whoever owned him before had a wife with the most obnoxious scream and would yell for Bob or yell at Bob. Bob, get in here, Bob. And it was so, I mean, you could hear him. You'd be out, like, down the street, like, outside, and you could hear this bird yelling for Bob. So I have a feeling Bob did not have a happy marriage based on that. He also swore a lot. That bird swore a lot, which was hilarious when I was a kid. What is this? Show us your cat. I don't have a cat. I am not a cat person. Cats are cute. I don't want one. Emily, the OMS won't, like, randomly burst into flames, right? Once it's dry, you should be fine. But as far as I know, I think it's just when it's wet that it can be potentially a problem. As far as I know, I mean, you could call the company. It should say something on the thing you can call. I know Speedball makes the one that I use. You can contact them and ask them just in case, but you should be fine. I wouldn't take a hairdryer or anything to it, or a flame. Definitely not. Yeah, it's funny. I joined the live stream for Tidal Gardens. Than was doing this last Saturday. I was watching, and he was talking about how much and Than's a cat person, like, loves his cats. And he was talking about, he doesn't like clownfish, hates clownfish. I'm like, we can't be friends because I love clownfish and I'm not a cat person. Other people's cats are fine. I like to pet them. I just don't want to live with one. But it was like, wow, we have the opposite taste in pets. I had a cat that was amazing growing up, and no other cat came close to her. I had her for 16 years. So got her from when I was 4 to like 21. And when she died, I got the same. She's a Himalayan, and I got another Himalayan, and yeah, not the same at all. That cat was evil. The new one I had gotten. That cat she had health problems, and she just had a lot of problems, and took it out on me. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump to a slightly darker pencil now. So that one was the 4B. See if jumping to the HB is a bad idea. Where is the HB? It should be a short one. Again, don't want to push hard. The 8B, the darker the lead, the more likely you are to end up with it being real glossy or real shiny. So you really want to watch that. I don't want to push hard, and I don't want to work that pencil super fast back and forth. I mean, I'm not one, if there is a little bit of a gloss to it, it doesn't bother me. Some people will, like, throw out their work. I knew Damian May, who was an amazing graphite artist, like, phenomenal. I don't even know if he still works on his stuff anymore. He used to draw all the time. He was all over Facebook. And his work was amazing. And I remember him posting photos of work that was, like, he had gotten really far into it. He tossed it because he started to make it a little bit too glossy looking, like, or shiny. And he tossed it and started over. I'm like, okay, I don't mind it that much. I mean, I don't want it to be like crazy shiny, but not enough that because it looked amazing. I'm like, oh, my soul cries for you, or for that thrown away artwork. My neighbors are being loud. I say I'm not going to miss that when we get into our house, but then we'll have kids with like basketball courts, I'm sure, out in the driveway, so we may get that joy. Thanks, Xerxes. Serving Artist Collective said, progression on your house. It's funny, we both were thinking about that at the same time. Any changes on your studio plans? So the progression, we had to go get a doctor's note. We want hard floors. We're doing wood look tile throughout the entire house. Except for the bathrooms are just normal tile, but the rest of the house is the dark wood look tile, including the studio and the office and everything. And so we want that, being that it is tile. I don't want to later on add the tile to the other 3 bedrooms. So it comes, or like they'll put it in the master bedroom, which is going to be my studio, and the office and the living room and the hallways. But they won't put it in the bedrooms unless you get a doctor's note saying like you have allergies or something and you can't have carpet. So thank you, Blue Tea Art. Oh, come back and read that. Oh, she says, hi, Lisa, this should help in a small way. Another great live stream. You're an inspiration to me and all artists. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You are so sweet. But yeah, the house, they wouldn't, even though we're paying for it, they wouldn't put the hard floors. They insist on carpets unless you get a doctor's note. So we finally got the note from the doctor saying we need, allergies, whatever, we need hardwood floors. Anyone can get the note. That's what's so stupid. I'm like, I don't understand why they're just being a pain about that. And we're paying for it. But I guess too many people were having houses built and they would keep, like, it's harder for them to sell a house that doesn't have carpet in the bedrooms. I don't know why, but okay. Weird, because the tile is extremely expensive compared to carpet. But yeah, we finally got that done. So we've got to sign the thing for the change order so they can update that and give me the cost, because I have to give a bigger deposit since we are adding additional stuff. But yeah, that's it. I know they got the blueprint approval stuff from the city. They have to call us and have us have an appointment with the builder, which he said would be in a couple weeks, and that was like a week ago. Oh, we did choose the siding on our house, the color of that, which apparently we were supposed to have chosen forever ago, but they never told us that. So we went up this week and chose which color we wanted. I had to laugh because I think only artists would appreciate this. So he sends me, he goes, the realtor guy, he's like, yeah, we needed to have you, when I text him, like, when do we choose the siding color? Because most of the house is brick, but part of it has siding. I'm like, when do we choose that? Like the garage door color and all that. And he goes, well, yeah, we should have had you do that already. I can send you pictures if you want. You can choose from that. And I said, okay. So he sends me the pictures. There are 4 colors that are almost the same, tan, a pinkish looking white, or peach. I don't know. Like, they're all kind of the same. Part of the shadow of his desk is over it to where part of it all looked the same color. And I'm like, no. I mean, maybe just because we're artists, we noticed the difference, like, in that. You couldn't tell the difference in the color in these, though. It was like, there's no way I'm choosing that based on that photo. So we had to go back up on Sunday and see in person. It's kind of funny. Let's see. Chandra said, just for reference, about how long do you think that section of hair would take if you weren't straightening? I'd say this here, 20 minutes, probably, max. Let's see. Frankie said, the lady who owned Marco, the Amazon, had an answering machine, and Marco would do the phone ring, then answer with her machine's message. Then he would laugh. It was in Spanish. That is great. I had my blue friend at Amazon. Me and my sister would get in trouble all the time when we were kids, where the phone would ring and we'd yell, like if it was my friend, I'd yell, hang up, I got it. Or my sister would do the same. We'd always yell, hang up, I got it. My mom would get so mad because my mom's really big on being polite on the phone and just that sort of thing. So she finally had yelled at us enough. We got corrected for it enough that we stopped doing it. But the problem is my Amazon did it and she sounded exactly like me. So then I'd get in trouble because Chelsea would yell, hang up, I got it, every time the phone would ring. And my mom would then come and yell at me because she told me not to do it. That bird was funny. The bird would also whistle the way my mom would. My mom had a Yorkie at the time. She would whistle for the dog that was named Yoda. Come here, Yoda, and whistle. It sounded just like my mom. The bird or the dog would come running down the hall thinking my mom was calling her. The bird would just bust up laughing. That was funny. That was really, really funny. There were a lot of stuff, a lot of things that bird did. Like this, they have a serious sense of humor. That bird was really good at entertaining herself. Solar Sun, can water-soluble graphite and normal graphite be used together? And is the water-soluble graphite realizable for archival? Yeah, the water-soluble graphite is archival, so you're fine there. But I would recommend using distilled water just because who knows what's in your tap water, and that could cause your paper to yellow or things like that. But that's not because of the graphite. That's just because the nature of tap water. So with that, I would recommend using distilled. But yeah, they can be used together. Now, I'm not sure. I've never tried using it as far as like going back and forth with one over the other. I'm not sure what would happen there. But you could do like a base on areas with the water-soluble graphite. Now, remember with water-soluble graphite, once it's dry, it doesn't erase very much. So not like a graphite pencil that you've not gone over with water. So keep that in mind. Let's see. No, I am not using teal on my house, believe it or not. Actually, teal is just my accent color. The inside of the house, we did get to choose all our colors. So I'm going with white cabinets everywhere. So the bathrooms and the kitchen are all white cabinets. White countertops in the bathrooms. And then in the kitchen, it's the quartz. It's a kind of a medium neutral gray for the quartz. And then the floors are that dark wood look tile. So I can spill paint on them. I can spill salt water on them. I could spill wine on them and still clean it up and not ruin my floors. Like, well, not that most of that would ruin the floors by itself, but I mean, I worried about the salt water with the fish tanks and having, like that over time, you're going to spill a lot when you do water changes. And I was worried how that would affect real wood floors. So I'm really excited we were able to do the tile that is going to hold up way better. Ariel goes, you'll have to give him a lesson on staging photographs. I was tempted to say something to him when I was in there, like because he has a good sense of humor, but I didn't. I behaved. I don't know. He seems to have a good sense of humor, but I'm not sure he would appreciate my criticism. But Miriam said, no carpet. I wouldn't have it either. Many carpets are treated with formaldehyde, of course, in some gel nail polish. Very toxic. Yeah, no. Carpet just kind of grosses me out because I'm a bit of I want everything clean, and that can't happen with carpet. And when carpet, once it gets a stain, your room looks dirty even if you just vacuumed and cleaned. Like I'm not a fan of carpet at all, especially having as many animals as I do. That's a big deal. Jessica said, since I've never had an indoor bird, chickens stay in their coop, would it be better to get a male or a female budgie? Not planning on one right now, but maybe in the future. I would be more concerned about getting a young one than male or female. And when they're really young, you can't tell if they're male or female. Young is going to be easier. Now, an older bird can bond to you, absolutely. But it's easier to really bond with, and especially if you can get a hand-fed one. Male or female, I really never noticed that big of a difference in personality, at least with mine. But I also had the Amazons. I had so many birds at the time that I wasn't spending a ton of one-on-one attention with the parakeets, but they all were awesome. They were all great pets, but I would go more for young versus waiting till it's older and you knew what gender it was going to be. Let's see. Solar Sun, green tea or coffee? Coffee. Although I love green tea too, so that's kind of a hard one, but yeah, coffee. Tea is weird. Tea, if it has much caffeine in it, so like green tea would, enough, that makes me not feel great. The caffeine in tea hits me harder. It doesn't wake me up like coffee does, but it makes me feel kind of crappy and jittery, whereas I don't get that with the same amount of coffee. I don't know why. Serving Artist Collective said, I live in another country. Why is carpet mandatory in your new bedrooms? Yeah, I'd like to know that too. You're paying so much, you should have what you want. Is it U.S. or state authority thing? You have to have some kind of flooring. So I would be perfectly happy. Give me cement and I'll stain it. That is like no builder that you can't close on a house that doesn't have some flooring installed. But no, it's a thing with my builder. My builder was having, I guess, too many things where people were, what they told us anyway, is too many people were going through the process where they designed the house, they got the choices that they wanted, and then hit that stage, backed out, and now the builder has to sell the house, and they had a harder time selling it if it didn't have carpet. I don't know why. It makes no sense to me. I am like, that was just such a big deal for me when were doing the house. It's like the majority of my upgrade budget I knew it would go towards floors. So I don't know why that's really, it's definitely not, it's a thing with a builder. And then just something with the laws when you close. I don't know if it's because you did a loan or something like that. You have, like, let's say I pulled, because I asked them about this. I'm like, what if I buy the house, I pull carpet out of all of those rooms and just stay in the floor? When I go to resell it, do I have to put carpet? And then they said, yeah, you can't close unless there's something. You have to have something on the floor. Now, whether it be tile or carpet or whatever, it just has to be finished. So, kind of a weird, I don't know. I don't understand, though. I even though I know they said they had problems with people backing out, and it's like, yeah, but don't punish those of us who are not backing out, who were paying you a crazy amount of money for this, because their attitude is, well, you can just, after it closes, you can go ahead and replace the flooring. What a waste of material. So I'm going to put carpet in. I'm going to pay for the carpet, and then I'm going to rip the carpet out, throw it out, although if it's brand new, you can donate it, and then put in the floors that I want. It just seems so wasteful. I don't know. It bugged me. Whoops, there we go. Just scrolled too far. Where were we? Frankie said, Marco would whistle for the dogs, then bust out laughing when they came. Yep, that was Chelsea. Carpets and dogs don't work well. Agreed. Because even if they're potty trained, dogs puke. Sooner or later, because I was tempted to just go, you know what, screw it, I'll save the money, because it's it's going to be about an extra $4,000 to $5,000 for me to put tile in those the wood tile that I want in those rooms. I'm like, you know what, I'll just save the money and do carpet. It's fine. I'm just not going to let the little dogs in there, because little dogs have a tendency to mark. They're a pain, but the big dogs, and then can go in there. They'll sleep in the rooms with us. But then I'm like, wait, they get sick and puke on that carpet. Now I keep, no carpet. So gross. Joseph says nothing funnier than a big dog on a slippery floor. I hope our greyhound, because that's going to be our first big dog. I'm going to adopt a greyhound right. Like as soon as we close in that house, I've already gone through the adoption process and the home check. Well, the home check here, I don't know if they'll need to check the new home too, but, we are absolutely getting a greyhound, and hopefully he's okay with tile floors. I'll have area rugs, but I can replace those if they get dirty. Solar Silent said, I had a small cockatoo. My finger got bit several times. Oh, ouch. Yeah, that happens with birds. Cell said, do you enjoy doing art outdoors or drawing your paintings straight from nature? Sort of. I live in Texas. It's either cold or hot. We don't really have an in-between here. So we don't have many seasons where I want to be outside at all. Ever. So yeah, I don't like bugs. I definitely do the whole girly, like, ew, a bug touched me. But I am hoping with the new house, with the way my patio is going to be set up, I do actually want to try drawing out there with the way that's going to be. We'll see. I don't know. I may change my mind, but that's the plan. So normally I like to be indoors where it's air conditioned. If there's a bug, it's because one got in, not because I'm being swarmed by them like I am outside. It's Texas. We have some big bugs here. And yeah, I'm definitely, but then the one time when I did that video with the Derwent Inktense, the travel pan, I went out to the creek and sat out there and painted, and it was so much fun. I mean, it was amazing. And that I do want to do again. It's just too miserably hot outside right now. So when I have done it, I love it. But if it's something I'm going to take serious where I'm like doing a lot of fine detail like this, I'm going to do that inside. I'm not going to do this outside. But like plein air painting where it's just kind of a looser landscape type thing, that is fun. I did have a lot of fun when I did it. Let's see. Susan said, I can't drink green tea on an empty stomach. I get all the jitters so bad. I feel faint and nauseous. Yeah, it's not fun. That's kind of how it affects me. And coffee, but coffee I can, but I can only do 2 cups of coffee a day. This is third, so I may regret that later. Normally I do 2 cups of coffee a day and I'm okay. Any more and I start getting jittery. Chandra said, birds are great. My brother's friend's family had rescued a macaw who bit, so we were told, so we gave him plenty of space. And the first day I met him, he crawled up onto my shoulder. That's so cute. Nick said, if there's a 1 square foot itty bitty rug, a pet will seek it out so they can vomit on it. Yep. Absolutely. They ignore the easy to clean tile completely. Yeah, so I'm hopefully I was looking at those ruggables, the rugs that you can just like pull up and wash, but it looked like the actual quality of the rug was terrible. So I don't know with that, but I just get cheap area rugs. Like I won't go, the people who get the super expensive ones, I won't do that. I wouldn't, even if I had the money for it, I'm not going to invest in it because animals. So I would rather get the cheaper ones that if they do get gross, I can just replace them. But I don't have area rugs in as many places. Like when I was younger, I had the rug like in front of the kitchen sink, and you had the several in there and all over the place. And I do in this room because I was keeping it so I didn't get paint on it. But normally, yeah, no, I would rather not. Whoops, there we go. Miriam said, greyhounds have a special place in my heart. Me too. I can't wait. I've never had a greyhound myself. I mean, I've been around them a lot, but I've never had my own, so I'm really excited. Chandra said, the bird buried himself in her hair for hours. So that's so cute. Ariel, could Chicken come visit before the end of the live stream? Actually, yeah, I can go grab him. Hold on, I'll grab him right now. He can be in here with Graphite. Be right back. Here, we're not going to the desk. Okay, here's Chicken. He was sleeping. He's a little tired right now. I woke him up. There you go. You want to sit up here? Here's Chicken. Let's see. Whoops, this is going to fall. I don't have this tucked in well. Oh, grindy beak. That's a happy chicken. Let's see. Let me scroll back up. Frankie said it was 98 here today. Heat index was 108. Yeah, that's about what it was up here. Let's see. Ursi says I have to drink 2 cups of green tea every 4 days, about the same day. In addition, I will drink green tea with jasmine. I used to drink so much green tea and honey, like so much, and I was okay with that. But if I had green tea without the honey, for some reason I'd get sick. I don't know. That's weird. Is slightly dried acrylics in a bottle not usable anymore? If you can thin it out, if you add water, and it kind of it gets towards thin, because sometimes acrylics will get, where are you going? You don't need to be down there. Stay up here. Stay here. He wants to sit on my knee. And then you guys can see him. Stay here. People are watching you. You just don't know it. Stay here. There's your girlfriend. Yeah, there's your girl. He thinks my hand is his girlfriend. But, if it's like clumpy and you can mix it in with water and it goes back to normal, you're okay. But if it's like dried chunks of paint, that can sometimes get into your painting and it looks bad. So, whoops, that's a little too far. What art supplies is it okay to work with around pets? Graphite is okay. Graphite powder, I would not, because he can't wear a little mask. That you don't want him breathing in the powder. But the graphite pencils, totally fine. Inktense, totally fine. Watercolor, you're fine. I won't do acrylics because they do still have a slight fume. Now, once they're dry, they're fine. Oils, definitely not. Airbrush, definitely not. Anything that they can breathe in, that like inhale those particles, they are really sensitive to that, like fumes and stuff. So those would definitely not. Let's see. Emily, okay, that one answered. Sarah said, I would love to get a second dog, but we're worried my lab might not take to having another pup around. Yeah, it happens. Sometimes they get along great, and sometimes not so much. See, buck, buck, chicken bird. You want you to do buck, buck, rear? Buck, buck, rear. Buck, buck, rear. Let's see. Chicken, stay up here. Come up here. There you go. Will you sit here while I draw? Or are you going to help me draw? What do you think? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. He'll usually say yeah and bob his head. Yeah. You're not going to do it right now? No? Oh, the chicken. The chicken. You gonna sing? You gonna talk? Oh, you're so cute. Oh, are you a big chicken? Big chicken, do your wings. Big chicken. Come on, big chicken. You gotta do your wings. Big chicken. Big chicken. Come on, big chicken. He clears his throat when I do that too, which is cracks me up. Big chicken. You say big chicken, come on, big chicken. Come on. And I have to flap my arms in the air in order to get him to do it. He'll usually hold his arms or his wings out. He copies me, but he's not doing that now. I'm not going to keep flapping my arms in a live stream like an idiot. I make enough of a fool of myself. I don't need you to help me. Let's see. What do we have here? What's the difference between regular and Gorgian oils? I wasn't aware the second was a thing. My co-author sent me a set of tubes recently. I think it's just a different brand. I don't think it's anything different. I think that's just the brand, isn't it? I could be wrong. But I think it's just a brand difference. Did I open my window when I do art in all types of mediums? No, not always. I mean, it's a master bedroom of an apartment, so it's not huge, but it's not a small room either. So it's not super enclosed. I usually have the bedroom door open though, but a window. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Gail said, "Funny, I call it Grindy Beak when my bird gets sleepy too. He's a Princess of Wales parakeet, about the size, smarts, and is fun of." That just scrolled too far and I lost it. Is my cockatiel and love birds. I just read that wrong. Yes, chicken does have me well trained. Let's see. Donna said, you probably already covered this, but what graphite pencils are you using? Is there a trick you have to get rid of the graphite shine? So you don't get rid of the graphite shine. You have to avoid having it in the first place. Once it's there, you can spray matte finish over it, but it'll always be there. I'm using the Faber-Castell, their art set and their design set. So it ranges from, the one set ranges from, I think, 5B to 5H, right around there. And the other one is 2H to 8B. You don't, to avoid that shiny look, don't push hard with the pencil. And if you watch the video from start to finish, I covered this multiple times throughout the video. Like, I explain it better than what I'm going to explain now. Where are you going? Don't poop on me. You look like you're about to poop on me. That's not archival. No pooping. So, you work in light layers. Don't push hard. Don't move that pencil fast. But light layers is how you're going to avoid it. It's the short version. But if you watch the live stream from the beginning, you're making this fall. He really, really wants on my leg. Let's see. But yeah, you just have to avoid the shine from the beginning. Once it's there, it's there. Okay. Oh, I tucked my hair into your towel. Lovely. Stay up here. Where are you trying to go? I don't even know which one is this. 3B? We can use that bit. Actually, I need to sharpen this though. Definitely need to get some more sharpeners. What? Are you going to be a good chicken and stay where you're supposed to? He was like, nope, that's not happening. Yeah. Are you going to sing for everyone? Sing. That's not what I asked for. That wasn't right. Fuck, rear. Is that all we're going to get? Oh, chicken. It's a chicken. Nugget's new thing, when I just left in there, he's been imitating the squeaky door. So it sounds like a whine. Every time the door opens or closes, he imitates it now. That Nugget, the parrotlet, now he talks a lot. My gosh. He's funny. Cockatiel's more whistle than anything. Solar Sun, in your opinion, where are you going? I guess you're going on my leg. Fine, there you go. You happy now? In your opinion, what should the sensible time duration be for doing a graphite work of the same size paper that you're doing? It depends on the person. It's definitely not a one time for everybody. I mean, for me, this is probably going to be a 30-hour piece or so. Well, maybe not. If I won't have 30 hours of footage because I cut out every time I stop and like walk around, get a drink, whatever. But this is going to be a long one for this time period, 20 to 30 hours, I would say. because I'm going to work on it over several weeks. So I really can't say because every artist is different. I tend to work very fast compared to most, or most artists that I've known of or hung out with and drawn or painted or whatever. I just work fast. I work like I talk, not on purpose. That's just how I work. So I can't tell you this is how long you should spend, but most people for something this size are going to be at least that long, I would say. Why did I name him Chicken? Because he's a shoulder chicken. Because in my world, all birds are a form of chicken. Sky chicken, water chicken, shoulder chicken, floaty chicken, webfoot chicken. Everything's a chicken. I have a patio chicken that lives out on my patio, a Eastern Phoebe, I think he is. And so when we got Chicken, he's a shoulder chicken. That's just his name. He has to be Chicken. My husband wanted to name him Jace after some Magic the Gathering character, but it didn't last because I kept calling him Chicken. Let's see. My cabinet's suddenly blurry. Yeah, my internet's probably crapping out because it does that. I'm actually surprised my internet lately has been staying connected during the streams. That's been an ongoing battle lately. Or my internet has been going out constantly. The 1 week, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Right before 4th of July, I did not have the day before, I didn't have a live stream. And I'm really glad I didn't. I had internet problems all day. Like it was real abnormally bad. I don't need this up here if you're not going to sit there then. You're not going on the floor. Stop looking down there. He's looking at my toes. He is obsessed with my toes. Let's see. I think I'm done working on this for tonight. I mean, this is the section I wanted, but see how it's clumps. It's not strands of hair. Now, when I get into this, I've got light. It's going to be quite a bit lighter. So we're going to start shifting values, but that'll be on the full video. Let's see. Natalie said, I need to get my boy out more often. His name is Picard, and he sings the Star Trek third Next Generation theme song. Yeah, Chicken, normally I bring him out a few times a day. He always gets a few hours every night when my husband comes home. And then I've been trying to get him out more during the day because he's been getting a bit too obnoxious with screaming lately. So I'm hoping a bit more attention will help. It's not. He's still obnoxious. But whatever, he likes it. He wants to be, the problem is he wants to be with me all the time. That's why he's screaming. He wants all the time to be with me. And it's like, you can't really get mad. He's cute. He wants to be with his human. Huh. And he's not happy when he can't be with me. So he screams. Solar City says, my chicken reminds you of me of my cat. That's weird. Are they the same colors? Let's see. What is my absolute favorite medium and why? I don't have one absolute favorite, but if I had to choose that you can only paint in or use one thing ever again, it would probably be acrylic painting because I feel like I can do anything in acrylics that I can do in any other medium. And so, plus faster, it's very fast to do in acrylics. So I can work large. I can paint a wall with acrylics, which I will be doing when I get the new house. I'm sure I will be having lots of live streams of that mural because it's a long hallway and I'm going to do like 1 to 2 feet, 2 feet maybe, like going all the way across it. I'm going to do a whole ocean scene. So that is going to be fun. But acrylics, I would say if I could only choose one to forever work in, it would be acrylics with an airbrush. But, I consider them both the same medium. But I wouldn't want to. I would definitely get bored. I really like working in a lot of different mediums. So let's see. Okay, I love pencil work. But it's slow and you can work big, but it takes so long to do something really big. And yeah, I definitely would get bored with just one. Let's see. If you like Skyward, you should try the Stormlight Archive series. The same author in his world, but all birds are called chickens too. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I'm really excited to see if I like that. If you guys, again, if you have not already, you can join the Lachri book group. We're going to be listening to books together and chatting about that. So the book I just downloaded it today. I luckily had credits. Hold on, we get my phone. My husband has just sent me something that just said squee. Oh, there are other messages. Live action Warhammer 40,000 TV show announced. Oh, my husband is happy. What was I talking about? Oh, the book. The book that we are currently reading is by Brandon Sanderson, Skyward. So I'm excited to start that. I'm torn because I just finished another book and there's like 3 more available in the series. I'm like, do I want to continue that series now or do I want to start? I'll probably start this one and then go back and finish the other series. And then listening to Chicken likes piggies, toes. Yes, he does. If I sit and wiggle my toes, oh, he talks. I don't know. You may be able to hear him if I put my foot up. Here, you want to see your toes? There's the toes. He got the flirty wings are out now. You guys can't see it, but he is like grinding his beak. He's all happy. You gonna talk to your toes? Can you hear him clicking? His whole body is vibrating while he clicks at my toes. My bird is weird. Let's see. Serving Artist Collector said, I had a sulfur-crested cockatoo. His name was Coco, and he used to rip the tiles off the bathroom wall when I put his cage in there for visitors. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they are very destructive. Yeah, and if you guys can like, share anything with this video, it really, really helps me, or any of my videos. Any YouTubers that you like, one of the best things you can do for any of us, if you like the content, please like, comment, and share. That tells YouTube that people liked it, and they'll share it with more people. So it does us any YouTubers, if you want to help them out, it does us a huge, huge favor. Peggy said, thanks for bringing us the chicken channel tonight. You are welcome. Yeah, he's talking to my toes right now. That is... I think your record's stuck. Really? My bird is so weird. You are the weirdest chicken. Answer a couple more questions. I'll wrap this up. Frankie said, what part of Texas are you in? I'm in the DFW area. Thank you for your help. Looking forward to the book group. I am in Grapevine right now. That is where my apartment is. So right next to the DFW. Well, you're in DFW. You know where Grapevine is. Solar Sun, I miss your vlogs. Would they come back next year? You know what? The vlogs, the talking vlogs, I've been considering doing those again, but doing it a little bit differently, because the way that I was doing the vlogs, it takes more time editing than just talking. So I was thinking about doing more vlogs where I just talk to the camera, no editing, just like do it on my phone. No editing, just upload straight like that. Just kind of like an art chat type, like pick a topic and just talk about it, and no clips, no anything. So not quite as polished for sure, but it doesn't take as much time. So I've been considering doing that. I was thinking about, like, especially once we're in the house, you know, maybe art vlogs from the patio, or, you know, just something where I just sit down on the phone, record, and that's it. So yeah, I'm definitely considering doing those again. Let's see. Gail said, what method did you use for making the polka dots? I used the circle stencil and kneaded eraser, Tombow Mono, or Magic Cake. On Patreon, you can watch it. I already did it on there, but that one's already uploaded, but I drew circles. It's all just circled by hand. I didn't use a stencil. They're not exact. They don't really have to be. Close is good enough, but I did the circle and then just shaded around them. I mean, there are a few different techniques, and you're on Patreon, aren't you? You would be able to see it there. Otherwise, this will be up on YouTube. It'll be a few weeks before the full one is up, but I'll show you how I did it. But I would use the Tombow Mono eraser to clean them up. Like, I would leave the circle, I would draw out the circle, and then shade around it, and then clean it up with the Tombow Mono eraser, and then go back through with a pencil and darken again. So I kind of went back and forth that way for most of it. The magic tape wouldn't do anything for the graph. Like, it wouldn't be super useful for this. Do I have an experience with Staedtler Graphite Pencil? Those are okay. They're not my favorite, but they're okay. I did one review with them. I like these better. They're not bad by any means, but I do like the Faber-Castell better. Crystal Renee Art said, your bird noises is making my cat crazy. He goes nuts whenever he hears bird noises. That's funny. Chicken is hilarious. Chicken is a riot. Thank you for bringing him out tonight. You're welcome. Chicken is so entertaining. Chicken is hilarious. Thanks for bringing him out. What is the link to the book group? I don't have the link. If you just go to Facebook and type in Lachri book group, it'll come up there. And then someone can add you. Oh, look, Nick had a link to the book. Thank you. Okay, so we are done. And yep, that is it for tonight. We will probably be continuing on this next week, because there's no way I will be done by then. I will see you guys later. And here, you want to come up and say goodbye? Come up where people can see you. Say bye. You don't know how to say goodbye. I never taught you that, huh? Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to bob your head? Yeah. No? Okay. How about Bok Bok Rare? Can we get one of those? He's just gonna click. Hey, Bok Bok Rare. Bok Bok Rare. What? Thank you. Okay, that was as good as I'm gonna get for a goodbye because he doesn't know how to say goodbye. I'll see you guys later. And make sure to check out our moderators channel. They help me so much. Links are in the video description. Bye, guys.